show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Face in your face. Face in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And for tonight's episode, the subscriber mode will not be enabled, meaning anyone who wishes to enter a comment in the chat, whether you be a subscriber or not, you'll have the opportunity to do so. Okay, excuse this one moment. So, with that being said, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who already subscribed to the channel, whether you be from the very beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate all the love and all the intention that all of you have given me. Also, want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, especially when it comes to Instagram and TikTok. Your continued support really touches my heart, and I really appreciate it. Also, want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices and all those who watch me from the clouds, even the haters, which are really are secret fans. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is the following. If you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So, before we get into the topic for tonight, which is how to overcome trauma, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. First of all, a huge shout out to all those who expressed words of condolences regarding the death of my nephew, Jimmy Santiago. I really appreciate again all the all the words of encouragement all of you have given me. But he will continue to live in the heart of all of us that actually knew him. Okay. But this is a new week. And with a new week, we have a lot of interesting things that are happening. Um, Now, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow is going to be a full episode of In My Words. So basically, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow is I'm going to be expressing my thoughts regarding many things. Okay. It looks like it's going to be a rematch of 2020 between Biden and Trump. Okay. Barring any other situation where, and of course, anything can happen between now and election day. Okay, because never in our lifetime, excuse me, never in our lifetime have we experienced a candidate that's under 91 charges of criminal activity. That's something that never has happened in our history. Okay. And of course, those who support Donald Trump saying Trumped up, it's campaign, a campaign interference, whatever. Of course, I do hold the belief that everyone, no matter how decrepit, no matter whatever, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So I will be discussing that um, in more detail tomorrow. Okay. Another thing that is, so for those of us who enjoy baseball, we'll soon be entering into another baseball season. So we'll see whether or not the Texas Rangers will be able to defend their World Series title, or perhaps another team will take over. Okay, time will tell what will happen. Okay, some of you know or may not know that I'm a Yankee fan, and unfortunately, I've been very disappointed with the Yankees due to the fact that they have not won a World Series since 2009, which was basically the first year of the Obama administration. So we're talking about 15 years. So the question is following: can the Yankees not only get into the playoffs, but actually are successful in winning a World Series championship? Time will tell what happens, okay? And of course, we all know that we have other teams that will try to, displace the Texas Rangers as World Series champions. Okay, um, we shall see. We shall see. Because one thing we have to bear in mind that being that this is an election year, not only do we have to deal with the fact that we have to select who's going to occupy the White House. There's many places where we have to think about races as far as senator, representing the House, also other local elections that we would need to be mindful of. So that's something to consider. Okay. Now, I've said this before and I'll say this again. Okay. Um, it's very important that we do vote. Now, in all fairness, there's certain elections where our vote does make a great deal and some does not. Okay. That is the nature of things. Um, of course, another big problem that's continuing to make life difficult, not just here in New York, but in many cities, is the situation regarding the migrants. Okay. The fact of the matter is, you have multiple cities where they're going broke. Okay. Because, first of all, we're talking about housing hundreds of thousands of these people. Okay. Because here in New York, um, we have a thing where shelter is guaranteed to everyone who comes in, no matter what. So that makes that cause a problem. We shall see what's happening as far as the migrant situation. I have a feeling this is going to continue on for years. Okay, and I have said this before, and I'll say it again. This situation exists because we have not done any proper planning. First of all, as far as where are we going to house these people, okay, and then the load needs to be shared equally. Okay, I have said this before and I'll say it again. What we should have done is Biden should have a meeting with all the governors and say, okay, look, we're going to do what we can to help out with these people, but no more and no less. And another question is why some of these countries are not doing their part to help with these people. Okay. I understand not every country has the financial resources we have, but you know what? Every country can do a little bit to try to ease the burden on us. We cannot save the world, okay? As much as we like to think we cannot. Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. So, the topic for tonight is how to overcome trauma. Okay. Now, trauma can come in many ways and in many forms. Okay. But before we get into the topic, we need to define what is trauma. Okay. Because here on this platform, uh, we don't just talk about the problem. We actually define what it is and then we try to find solution to it. But the actual definition is trauma is when we experience very stressful, frightening, or distressing events that are difficult to cope with or out of our control. It could be one incident or an ongoing event that happens over a long period of time. Okay. Now, the fact of the matter is, we all deal with, I mean, sometimes we deal with trauma, and it can come in many ways and in many forms. Okay. It could be experience the loss of a loved one. It could be illness. It could be uh, ending of a marriage or ending of or a relationship. And then sometimes we have painful memories when we're dealing with trauma. So, so no, people can overcome it, but the thing is, they need to understand why the trauma is there and how to be properly equipped with the tools necessary. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the inner strength to do so, but it's necessary to develop the strength. Now, in my situation, unfortunately, I have experienced the trauma of losing loved ones, and this has happened multiple times. So, and of course, with each situation, the reaction is different. There's some deaths which have been more personal, more closer to home, and there's also the trauma of losing your job. There's also the trauma of ending your marriage. Okay, things of that nature. So, what I'm going to do is, before I continue, I want to let everybody know that the link to join the panel has been pinned. So if anyone wishes to join the panel, they may do so by clicking the link. Let me just remind everyone, though, that if this is your first time here, I will ask you to come up in the backstage. Okay? And the reason why is as follows. I want to make sure that no one tries to flash anything in the form of a male anatomy or female anatomy, which would cause the people of YouTube to take down the stream. So that is the reason why. Excuse me. If this is your first time here and you've never been, in the chat, whatever, I will insist that you come up in the backstage. Those who choose not to come up, guess what? You don't have to. But then again, I don't have to let you on the panel. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, let me just share this. Okay. Before I do that, oops. Okay, let's see. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Okay. Hopefully, I'll be able to share this. Okay. So, I'm going to share an article, excuse me, um, from helpguide.org. Okay. And the name of the article is How to Cope with Traumatic Events. Okay. I have a feeling that this is going to be a short stream, depending on the number of people who actually participate as far as entering comments or actually entering the panel. Let me just share what the article says. It's normal to experience traumatic stress following a disturbing event, whether it's a tragic accident, plane crash, violent crime, terrorist attack, global pandemic, or a natural disaster like an earthquake or a hurricane or flood. You may feel intense shock, confusion, and fear, or feel numb or overwhelmed by a host of conflicting emotions, sometimes all at once. And these emotions aren't limited to the people who experience the event. Round the clock news and social media coverage means that we are bombarded by horrific images of tragedy, suffering, and loss almost the instant that they occur anywhere in the world. Repeated exposure can overwhelm your nervous system and create traumatic stress, just as if you experienced the events firsthand. Traumatic stress can shatter your sense of security, leaving you feeling helpless and vulnerable in a dangerous world, especially if the traumatic event was man made, such as a shooting or an act of terrorism. You may feel physically and emotionally drained, overwhelmed with grief, or find it difficult to focus, sleep, or control your temper. They are all normal responses to abnormal events. Often the unsettling thoughts and feelings of traumatic stress, as well as any unpleasant physical symptoms, start to fade as life gradually returns to normal over days or weeks following a catastrophic event or crisis. But there's also a lot you can do to assist you in recovering and better come to terms with the trauma you experience, whether you lived through the event itself, witnesses, were an emergency responder or a medical worker, or experienced traumatic stress in the aftermath. There are plenty of ways to calm your nervous system and regain your emotional balance. Let me just check and make sure there's no one. Okay. Okay. Whether or not the traumatic event directly impacted you, it's normal to feel anxious, scared, and uncertain about the future, what the future may hold. Your nervous systems become overwhelmed with stress, triggering a wide range of intense emotions and physical reactions. These symptoms of traumatic stress can range from mild to severe and often come up with in waves. There may be times when you feel jumpy and anxious, for example, and other times you feel disconnected and numb. Emotional symptoms of traumatic stress include shock and disbelief. You may have a hard time accepting the reality of what happened or feel numb and disconnected from your feelings. Fear. You worry about the same thing will happen again or that you will lose control or break down. Sadness or grief, especially when you know that if the people you know died or suffered life-altering consequences. Helplessness. The sudden unpredictable nature of violent crime, accident, or pandemics or natural disasters can leave you feeling vulnerable and helpless and even trigger anxiety or depression. Guilt. that you survive when others die, or feeling that you could have done more to help. Anger. You may feel angry at God, governments, or others you feel are responsible or prone to emotional outbursts. Shame, especially over feelings or fears that you cannot control. Relief. You may feel relief that the worst is over, that you weren't as badly affected as others, or even hopeful that your life will return to normal. Now, there are physical symptoms attached to this. Feeling dizzy or faint, stomach or tightening up, churning, excessive sweating, trembling, shaking, experiencing cold sweats, having a lump in your throat, or feeling choked up, rapid breathing, pounding heart, even chest pains or difficult breathing, racing thoughts or being unable to rest or stop pacing. You may also have difficulty concentrating on memory problems or confusion. Changes in your sleeping patterns. You experience insomnia or nightmares, for example. Unexplained aches and pains, including headaches, changes in sexual function. Loss and increased appetite in excessive consumption of alcohol, nicotine, or drugs. Now we're going to talk about what is the difference between traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress disorder, which is known as PTSD. Well, the symptoms of traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress disorder look very similar in merely finding a disaster or disturbing event. They progress very differently. As unpleasant as the symptom of traumatic stress can be, they tend to gradually improve over time, especially if you take steps to take care of your emotional health. However, if your traumatic stress symptoms don't ease up and your nervous system remains stuck, unable to move on with the event for a prolonged period of time, you may be experiencing PTSD. With PTSD, you remain in psychological shock. The symptoms don't decrease and you don't feel a little better each day. In fact, you may even start to feel worse. Okay. So now we're going to be talking about dealing with traumatic stress. Just as it can often take time to clear the rubble and repair the damage following a disaster or natural or traumatic event, it can also take time to recover your emotional equilibrium and rebuild your life. But there are specific things that you can do to help yourself and loved ones cope with the emotional aftermath of trauma and find a way to move on with your life. Remember, there is no right or wrong way to feel. People react in different ways to trauma. So don't let yourself or anyone else what tell yourself or anyone else what you should be thinking, feeling, or doing. Don't ignore your feelings, it will only slow recovery. It may seem better in the moment to avoid experiencing your emotion, but they exist whether you are paying attention to them or not. Even intense feelings will pass if you simply allow yourself to feel what you feel. Avoid obsessively reliving the traumatic event. Repetitious thinking or viewing horrific images over and over can overwhelm your nervous system, making it harder to think clearly. Partake in activities that keep your mind occupied. Read, watch movie, cook, play with your kids, so you're not dedicating all your energy and attention to the traumatic event. Establish routine. There is a comfort in the familiar. After a disaster, getting back as much as possible to your normal routine will help you to minimize stress, anxiety, and hopelessness. Even if you work or school routine is disrupted, you can structure your life with regular times for eating, sleeping, spending time with family, and relaxing. Put major life decisions on hold, making big life decisions about your home, work, or family. While traumatized will only increase the stress in your life. If possible, try to wait until your life has settled down. You regain your emotional balance and you're better able to think clearly. Now, here's something that's very important. Speak to a licensed therapist. BetterHelp is okay. So, depending on which city that you are in, there may be various different types of resources for therapy. Here in New York, we have NYC Well, where people can get therapy regarding their traumatic experiences. Also, with the municipal employees, they have the Employee Assistance Program where they can obtain therapy. Now, if you are a first responder or medical worker, emergency responders and medical workers are always called upon when there's a disaster or a crisis. While helping others at the time of the greatest need can be extremely rewarding, it also involves many challenges and stresses. Witnessing tragedy and suffering, making life and death decisions, even placing yourself in harm's way, can take its toll on your mental health and cause traumatic stress. And since you may have repeatedly deal with the aftermath of traumatic events over the course of your career, the emotional impact can snowball over time. If stress is left unchecked, it can lead to burnout, a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion. Now, these are things that um, certain people deal with this situation, mainly police personnel, firemen, fire personnel, paramedics, and medical staff when they have to make uh, sometimes difficult decisions regarding the lives of others. It's important to remember that you taking care of your own needs is not selfish, even at the time of crisis, whether it's a necessity. After all, allowing yourself to take breaks, leaning on others for support, and working in teams rather than alone for long periods, you will have the energy and the fortitude to better help others. And now we're going to be talking about coping with trauma tip and minimize media exposure. While some survivors or witnesses of traumatic events can regain a sense of control by watching media coverage of the event or by observing the recovering effort, others find the reminders of further traumatizing. Excessive exposure to images of a disturbing event, such as repeating viewing video clips on social media or news sites, can even create traumatic stress in people not directly affected by the event or cause those who were to be re traumatized. Limit your media exposure to the traumatic event. Don't watch the news or check social media before just before bed. And refrain from repeatedly viewing disturbing footage. Try to avoid distressing images and video clips. If you want to stay up to date with events, read newspaper reports rather than watching television or viewing video clips of the event. If coverage makes you feel overwhelmed, take a complete break from the news. Avoid TV and online news and stop checking social media for a few days or a few weeks until your traumatic symptoms ease up. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ease up and you're able to move on. I think it's very important is accept your feelings. I just make sure there's no one. Okay. Traumatic stress can cause you to experience all kinds of difficult and surprising emotions, including shock, anger, and guilt. These emotions are normal reactions to the loss of safety of security, as well as life, limb, and property that comes in the wake of a disaster. Accepting those feelings and allowing yourself to feel what you feel is necessary for healing. Now, these are some things that help you to deal with painful memories, emotions. Give yourself time to heal and mourn any losses you have experienced. Don't try to force the healing process. Be patient with the pace of recovery. Be prepared for difficult and volatile emotions. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling without judgment or guilt. Learn to reconnect with uncomfortable emotions without feeling overwhelmed. Another tip, challenge your sense of purposes. Excuse me. Okay, excuse me. Overwhelming traumatic stress is often about taking action. Positive action can help you overcome feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. Even small actions can make big decisions. Volunteer your time, give blood, donate to a favorite charity, or comfort others. Its form of volunteering sounds like too much of a commitment. Remember, you're simply being helpful and friendly to others can deliver stress, reducing pressure, and challenges a sense of helping. Help a neighbor carry in their groceries, hold a door open to a stranger, share a smile with people that you meet during the day. Connect with others affected by the traumatic event or participate in memories, events, and other public rituals. Feeling connected to others and remembering the lives lost or broken in the event can help overcome the sense of hopelessness that often follows a tragedy. Our tip is moving. It may be the last thing you feel like doing when you're experiencing traumatic stress. Exercising can burn adrenaline and release feel good endorphin to boost your mood. Physical activity performed mindfully can also rouse your nervous system when that stuck feeling and help you to move on from the traumatic event. Try exercise that's rhythmic and engages in both your arms and legs. Walking, running, swimming, basketball, or dancing are good choices. Add a mindful element by focusing on your body and how it feels to move. Notice the sensation of your feet hitting the ground, for example, or the rhythm of your breathing, or feeling wind on your skin. Rock climbing, boxing, weight training, or martial arts can make it easier to be mindful and focus on your body movements. After all, you could injure yourself. Now, we have to be mindful there's certain limitations about what you can do. So don't try to do things that you know that you physically cannot do. Okay, all you got to do is you can possibly injure yourself. Boost your energy and motivation. If you're struggling to find energy or motivation to exercise, start playing your favorite music and moving around or dancing. Once you get around, you'll start to feel more energetic. Shorter bursts of activity are beneficial as one longer session. Aim to exercise for 30 minutes or more each day, or is it easier, 3 10-minute spurts of exercise just as good for you. Tip number 5. Again, let me just remind those the topic for tonight is how to overcome trauma. So, and trauma can appear, out of left field. So I'm just trying to share some information to help us to deal with the topic. Another tip, reach out to others. You may feel tempted to withdraw from friends and social activities following a traumatic event, but connecting face to face with other people is vital for recovery. The simple act of talking face to face with another human can trigger hormones that relieve traumatic stress. You don't have to talk about the traumatic experiences. Reaching out to others doesn't necessarily mean they're talking about the traumatic event. Comfort comes from feeling connected and involved with others you trust. Talk to about and do normal things with friends and loved ones, things that you had nothing to do with the event that triggered your traumatic stress. Expand your social network. If you live alone or your social network is limited, it's never too late to reach out to others and make new friends. Take advantage of support groups, church gatherings, and community organizations. Join a sports team or hobby club to meet people with similar interests. Reaching out when you're cut off from others. While substitute for face-to-face contact don't have the same mental health benefits, sometimes it's not always possible to see friends and loved ones in person following a disaster or crisis. Perhaps you're temporarily kept apart by travel conditions, quarantine, or lockdown during a pandemic, for example. These circumstances reach out to loved ones via voice, video chat, telephone, social media, or text messages. Any way that you can feel connection and remind yourself that you're not alone at this time. Another tip, make stress reduction a priority. While a certain amount of stress is normal and can even be helpful as you face the challenges that come in the aftermath of a disaster or tragic event, too much stress will interfere with recovery. Relieve the stress in the moment. To quickly calm down in any situation, simply take 60 breaths, focusing on your attention each out breath, or use sensory input by engaging with one or more of your senses sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, touch, or home. For example, does listening to an uplifting song make you feel calm, or smelling ground coffee, or maybe petting an animal that works quickly to make you feel centered? Everyone responds to sensory input a little differently, so experiment to find out what works for you. Practice relaxation techniques such as meditation, yoga, or deep breathing to reduce stress, ease anxiety and depression, and improve your sleep. Schedule time for activities that bring you joy, a favorite hobby or pastime, or chat with a cherished friend. Use your downtime to relax, read a book, take a bath, or enjoy an uplifting or funny movie. Now we're going to be talking about how to feel grounded when you are traumatized. When you feel overwhelmed by traumatic stress, try this simple exercise. Sit in a chair with your feet on the ground and your back supported by the chair. Look around and pick up six objects that have red or blue on them. This should allow you to feel engaged in the present, more grounded, and in your body. Notice how reps get deeper and calmer. Alternately, you may want to go outdoors and find a peaceful place to sit on the grass and feel supported by the ground. Tip number 7. Excuse me. Bear with me. Ah, excuse me. Just give me a moment. I'm sobbing. Ay. Just moving myself a little bit. because okay, okay. Eat and sleep well. The food you eat can improve or worsen your mood after and affect your ability to cope with traumatic stress. Just give me a moment. Okay. Okay. Eating a diet full of processed and convenient food, refined carbohydrates, and sugary snacks can worsen symptoms of traumatic stress. Conversely, eating a diet rich in fresh fruit and vegetables, high quality protein, and healthy fats, especially omega 3 fatty acids, can help you cope better with the ups and downs that follow a tragic event. By replacing processed food with real food as close to its natural state as possible, you can develop an eating plan that not only help you to relieve traumatic stress, but also improve your energy, outlook, and overall sense of well-being. Here's something that's very important. Get enough quality sleep. After experiencing a traumatic event, you find it difficult to sleep. Worries and fears may keep you up at night, or disturbing dreams may trouble you. Since a lack of sleep places considerable stress on your mind and body, it makes it more difficult to maintain your emotional balance. Getting quality rest after a disaster is essential. Here are the following strategies to help you to improve your sleep. Go to sleep and get up at the same time every day. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon or in the evening, and limit alcohol intake as it disrupts sleep. Do something relaxing before bed, like listening to soothing music, reading a book, or meditating. Make your bedroom as quiet, dark, and soothing as possible. Get regular exercise, but not too close to bedtime. And to seek professional treatment. Usually, feelings of anxiety, numbness, confusion, guilt, and despair following a disaster or traumatic event will start to fade with a relatively short time. However, if your traumatic stress reaction is so intense and persistent and it's getting in the way of your ability to function, you may need help from a mental health professional, preferably a trauma specialist. Now, here are some of the red flags. It's been 6 weeks and you're still not feeling any better. And you're having trouble functioning at home at work. You're experiencing terrifying memories or nightmares and flashbacks. You're having an increasing difficulty time connecting and relating to others. You experience suicidal thoughts or feelings. You're avoiding more and more things that remind you of disaster or traumatic event. Now, if your child's been traumatized, this is what the following information provides. The intense, confusing, and frightening emotions that follow a traumatic event can even be more pronounced in children, whether they directly experience the event or repeating exposed to disturbing media coverage. But you can help your child cope with traumatic stress, move on from the past. And I'll pocket here. Now, in truth, uh, we were given a lot of information to cover. But let me just try to see if I can summarize that as best as I can. Okay. What when we are faced with a traumatic situation, like for example, back in 2020, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we did not had we did not have a vaccine, No, there was not a great deal of information. We didn't know how to function. Okay, and plus we were getting um, constant changes in protocol, how to deal with COVID-19. So it was a scary time for everyone. Well, it was a scary time for many people. Okay, some people choose not to accept the situation that we was in the middle of a major health crisis. Because we have people calling it a hoax, and unfortunately, you had people that was misled. As a result, they didn't take the necessary precautions needed to reduce their exposure, which is they became infected, and unfortunately, we lost many people. Okay, so 2020 was a very scary time. Okay, first of all, because we was dealing with something that was completely foreign. We did not have a great deal of knowledge. We didn't know how to react. We didn't know how to respond. Okay, and I remember as a municipal employee, um, the administration did not even want us to wear masks when dealing with the public, which is like, how could you expect people to serve people who may be infected by this unknown disease? Okay, so basically, it took the unions to to fight to make sure that we know those are us that had to work every day, you know, live, that we had certain protocols in place to make sure to reduce our exposure to COVID-19, meaning we had to wear masks, and then we had to practice social distancing, which meant maintaining 6 feet of distance from each other, uh, washing your hands thoroughly for 20 seconds, and sanitizing our workstations and things of that nature. And the fact of the matter is, even to this day, what I would do is when I go to work every day, I will take disinfectant wipes, disinfectant, disinfect my workstation, my telephone, and my computer. Okay, and just to make sure that I reduce my exposure um, to COVID-19. So it was a scary time. First of all, and again, we lost so many people, and not only that, you have millions of people who lost their livelihoods because they were not able to work and to pay their rent and their mortgages, and you have many company employers who went bankrupt because they couldn't were not able to adapt with a situation where you have to practice social distancing and things of that nature. The restaurants suffered, the movie theaters suffered. I mean, it was, and there were millions of other uh, people who were furloughed, or they were laid off, or have their hours reduced. So it was a very scary time. And then finally, when there was a vaccine available, and of course there was a great deal of misinformation all across the board. So I mean, we dealt with, with traumatic situation, and not only that, there's also what happened 2001 with the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Pennsylvania, where we lost uh, almost 3,000 Americans were killed due to 9/11. And many people have not fully recovered from what happened on September the 11th, 2001. Okay. And this is 2024. Okay. And one thing we have to bear in mind, and I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. There is no expiration date to deal with post traumatic stress disorder. There is no expiration date when it comes to grief. Okay. And this is, we're going to go into 23 years. Okay. So it's been a very traumatic situation. Now, I've been talking for almost an hour. Okay. Now, if anyone wishes to join the panel, they can do so. Okay. I appreciate the people watching the clouds. Okay. Of course, you're more than welcome to enter your comments in the chat. Okay. If you choose not to, then I'll start to wrap this up. I have a feeling this is going to be a short stream. First of all, it's a holiday, so people are enjoying their time off. Many people are out to dinner or what have you. So I would suspect that more people will watch this from um, on the playback. Okay, so and again, the link has been pinned. Should you wish to join? If no one wishes to join, then I'll stop. Then I'll start to wrap this up. Okay. What I will do is I will start to talk. I will talk about what's going to be the topic for tomorrow. And what I'll be doing is it's going to be the topic is going to be in my words. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking certain things. Of course, I'm going to have some discussion regarding the election this year, and it looks like, barring any last minute change or last minute situation, it's going to be a rematch of 2020. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm also going to be talking the fact that so far it's been very quiet here in these YouTube streets, which I really do appreciate this. Okay. Um, I guess people, basically um, have other things to think about or to do, which is perfectly fine. Okay, and it seems like the people who have beef with me, at least for the time being, stop. So, so that's always a good thing. But the way I look at it is the following. I don't have a I don't have beefs with anyone, but people may have beefs with me. Okay, it is their problem, not mine. Okay, uh, I don't worry about why people have beefs with me. That is not my place. That is not my concern. My concern is being the best version of myself. My concern is to continue to try to produce content which will be received. Okay. And if for some reason people are not very receptive, then I need to sit down and think, okay, what can I do uh, to produce content that's more receptive? One thing I will never do is I will never uh, do retro streams or things of that nature because that's does not me. Okay. I don't. I mean, I don't begrudge those that Excuse me. I don't begrudge those that do. That is their choice, not mine. Okay. And I know there's people that thrive on producing content where people are going crazy and people are yelling and fussing and all that kind of crap. That's fine. If they want to do that, that's their choice. I choose not to go there. Okay. Uh, that's never been me. Okay. Uh, since the very beginning. And good evening, Irby. How you doing? Thank you very much for stopping by. So the topic for tonight has been how to overcome trauma. Okay. And it can happen because of, whether it be something that happens, as far as like a natural disaster or a criminal situation where someone is unfortunately deleted. So what I have done is I've shared with people an article regarding how to deal with it. Okay. So at this point, um, I'm just getting ready to uh, share my thoughts regarding tomorrow's stream. Okay. Like I said, I will be talking about what looks like it's going to be Obama versus Trump. So it's going to be like, I hate to say it, but it looks like it's going to be the lesser of two evils. Okay. Which is something that is not very appealing. Okay. Now, of course, we can um, select a third party candidate, but realistically speaking, that's not going to happen. And in fact, the last time that a third party candidate did relatively well was the 1968 presidential election when George Wallace gained some votes running as a separatist candidate. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's the nature of our political system today. And until we actually have, yep, exactly. So basically, it's going to be between a guy in his 80s versus someone being faced with 91 criminal charges. Not exactly the best thing to think about. Okay, so it is what it is. I wish I mean, maybe, I say maybe. And what's sad is that Trump has only one candidate left, um, which I don't see her becoming the Republican candidate. But like I said, time will tell what will happen. So we have to deal with the situation. We have to deal with the reality that we are faced with. So, which is why it's very important that uh, we don't just focus on the presidential election. We think about who's going to represent us in the House and who's going to represent us in the Senate, and then we have our local elections. So it is what it is. But in any case, I'm gonna stop to wrap this up. Okay. Um, I'm still trying to work on what's gonna be the topic for Friday stream. Tomorrow it's gonna be in my words. So I'm gonna be just basically having like open discussion. We can all talk about whatever's on your mind. So, but in any case, thank you, Irby, because you always come up here and express your comments in the chat. So I really appreciate it. And a huge shout out to those who watch in the clouds. And So again, if you have not done so, please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna put this back because I think Ramon is doing a stream tonight, and I want to make sure I show some love and support to him as well. So I'm gonna close the same way that I always close. We must do our best to minimize our influence by the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we'll be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Hossein Negron saying good night, take care, and peace.